Welcome back, my friends. I'm truly happy you are here with me again. This is where we continue our journey with Mark Manson's powerful ideas in the subtle art of not giving a f***. Before we dive deeper, let me remind you, if you haven't watched the earlier part of this journey, you'll find the link waiting for you in the description. And don't forget, subscribe now, hit the notification bell, like this video, and share it with someone who needs this message. Your support keeps this voice alive and spreading. Now, let's continue. Mark Manson points out that one of the biggest illusions of modern life is the promise of endless happiness. We're told by self-help gurus, flashy ads, and social media influencers that we can always be happy, that every day should be sunshine. That pain is a failure and struggle is weakness. But here's the raw truth. Life isn't built that way. Life is messy, complicated, and often painful. And that's not a mistake. It's the nature of being alive. Think about it. When was the last time you faced a serious challenge? Did you grow from it, or did you try to escape it? The reality is, escape only deepens the wound. But facing pain head-on, choosing your response, transforms it into meaning. Manson insists, the goal is not to erase problems. The goal is to choose better problems. Because problems will never disappear. But you can decide which ones are worth your energy. Let's make this practical. Chasing likes on social media feels like a quick win. But does it add depth to your life? No, it leaves you emptier than before. Meanwhile, building a strong relationship, starting a difficult project, or pursuing a long-term goal, these bring struggle. They bring sacrifice, but they also bring growth, strength, and fulfillment. This is why Manson says, happiness is not a permanent state. It's the side effect of living with values that matter. It's what you feel when your struggles align with something bigger than yourself. So the real question isn't, how do I become happy all the time? The real question is, what am I willing to struggle for because it's worth it? Pause here, my friend, and reflect. Are you fighting battles that matter? Or are you wasting your strength on shallow distractions? Remember, the storms of life will always come. You can't avoid them. But you can choose which storms are worth sailing through. And that choice, that conscious choice, is what gives your life meaning. We spend so much of our lives avoiding discomfort. We want ease, shortcuts, quick victories. But Mark Manson reminds us that life never promised comfort. Life promised problems. And the difference between a shallow life and a meaningful one is the type of problems we choose to face. Think about it. Everyone struggles. The billionaire struggles with trust. The athlete struggles with sacrifice. The parent struggles with sleepless nights. The student struggles with fear of failure. No one is free from pain. But pain is not the enemy. It's the compass pointing us toward what matters. The tragedy is that most of us waste our energy on weak struggles. We obsess over likes on social media. We fight over who looks better, who seems happier, who owns more things. We trade hours of our lives for validation that disappears in seconds. And in the process, we forget the deeper battles, the ones that shape who we are. Manson insists you cannot escape struggle, but you can upgrade it. You can choose better problems. Instead of asking, why don't people appreciate me? Ask, what can I create that brings real value? Instead of fearing rejection, ask, what relationships truly deserve my loyalty? Instead of chasing endless happiness, ask, what sacrifices are worth my heart and energy? Better problems don't make life easier, but they make life worthwhile. When your values are shallow, every small failure feels like death. When your values are deep, even pain becomes purposeful. Losing money turns into a lesson in resilience. Losing a job becomes a door to reinvention. Facing rejection becomes a filter that shows who truly belongs. This is the paradox of growth. The more you run from pain, the more fragile you become. But the more you accept pain with purpose, the stronger you stand. Because resilience isn't built in comfort, it's built in fire. And every struggle you embrace consciously becomes fuel for becoming who you are meant to be. So here is the real question. What problems are worth your tears, your sweat, your nights of effort? Which battles deserve your scars? Because those choices define the story of your life. Freedom is not the absence of hardship. It is the ability to meet hardship with clarity, guided by values that matter. If you anchor yourself in integrity, responsibility, growth, and love, no storm can take you down. Because storms will always come. But with the right values, you don't just survive them, you rise stronger from them. So stop asking for a life without pain. Ask for a life with better pain. Stop chasing a happiness that doesn't exist. Start embracing the struggles that give your life meaning. That is the lesson Mark Manson leaves us with here. You don't control the weight of the storm, but you control the direction of your sails. And when you choose your struggles wisely, you are no longer a victim of life, you are its author. We live in a culture obsessed with comfort. Every advertisement promises an easier life, a quicker path, a smoother road. But comfort is a trap. The more we chase it, the weaker we become. Because real strength is not built in comfort, it's built in struggle. Mark Manson explains it with brutal honesty. Happiness does not come from avoiding pain. It comes from choosing meaningful pain. If you run from discomfort, you run from growth. If you face discomfort with purpose, you transform it into progress. Think of the gym. Muscles grow by tearing and repairing. No pain, no strength. Think of relationships. Trust is not built by avoiding conflict. It's built by navigating conflict with honesty. Think of creativity. The best art is not born in silence and ease. It's born in frustration, trial, and persistence. Yet most people run from these realities. We hide behind distractions, scrolling endlessly through feeds, buying things we don't need, numbing ourselves with entertainment, food, alcohol, or blame. And all the while, the problems that matter most remain untouched. Manson argues that this avoidance is why so many people feel empty. They chase a life free of pain and end up with a life free of meaning. Because meaning is not found in comfort. Meaning is found in the battles you willingly choose. So ask yourself, what pain am I avoiding right now? What struggle am I pretending does not belong to me? And what would happen if, instead of running, I stepped directly into it? Because here's the truth. Avoided pain grows. It expands in the dark corners of your mind. It steals your energy, your focus, your freedom. But faced pain shrinks. It becomes a challenge you can shape, mold, learn from. This is why responsibility is so powerful. When you say, this problem belongs to me, you stop being a victim. You start being the author. And in that moment, even suffering turns into strength. Mark Manson tells us clearly, stop wishing for a painless life. Start wishing for a meaningful one. Because you will suffer either way. The only difference is whether your suffering builds you or breaks you. Imagine two people walking through a storm. One curses the rain, blaming the sky. The other lifts their face, feeling the drops, learning to walk stronger. The storm is the same. The meaning is different, and that meaning comes from choice. So pause here, my friend. Don't ask, how can I escape all pain? Ask, what pain is worth my devotion? Don't ask, how can I avoid problems? Ask, which problems make me more alive? Because life is not about avoiding the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. And when you choose the right struggles, even the storm becomes your stage. We live in an age of endless choices. Scroll through your phone and you see thousands of lives, thousands of paths, thousands of shoulds. Be richer, be fitter, be happier, be more productive. The pressure never ends. Mark Manson argues that this overload is not freedom, it's paralysis. When everything matters, nothing matters. When you try to give your energy to everything, you give your energy to nothing. This is why learning the art of not giving a fuck is essential. It is not about apathy. It is about clarity. Think of your attention as a currency. You only have so much of it every day. If you spend it on gossip, on envy, on meaningless scrolling, you go broke. But if you invest it in deep relationships, purposeful work, health, and growth, you become rich in meaning. The secret is this. You don't need more things to care about. You need fewer things, chosen carefully. Imagine carrying a backpack. Every yes you give is another stone inside. Say yes to every demand, every expectation, every distraction, and soon you can't even walk. But when you learn to say no, you lighten the load. You start moving again, and every step feels freer. Manson emphasizes that saying no is not selfish. It is survival. If you say yes to everyone else, you say no to yourself. If you spend your energy pleasing the world, you abandon the battles that truly matter to you. So how do you decide what deserves your care? Look at your values. If your values are shallow, attention, appearance, approval, you'll chase shadows. But if your values are solid, honesty, responsibility, growth, you'll build something real. Think of it this way. Every no is a yes to something deeper. Saying no to shallow approval is saying yes to authentic connection. Saying no to endless distractions is saying yes to focus. Saying no to perfection is saying yes to progress. The paradox of freedom is this. The fewer things you give a fuck about, the more powerful you become. Because your attention, once scattered, now becomes a laser. And with that laser, you can cut through chaos, through noise, through illusion. So pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what am I carrying that is not mine to carry? What stones are in my backpack that belong to someone else's expectations, not my own values? And what would my life feel like if I put those stones down? Because clarity is liberation. And the courage to choose what matters, and to ignore what doesn't, is the true foundation of a meaningful life. We are all chasing something. Success, love, respect, peace. But Mark Manson flips the question. Instead of asking, what do you want out of life? Ask, what pain are you willing to endure? Because life will never give you happiness without struggle. Every dream comes with a price tag of discomfort. Every vision requires sacrifice. Every value demands effort. Think of fitness. Everyone wants the body. But do you want the sweat, the aching muscles, the discipline of routine? Think of wealth. Everyone wants freedom. But do you want the long nights of work, the failures, the risks, the anxiety of uncertainty? Think of love. Everyone wants a perfect relationship. But do you want the hard conversations, the vulnerability, the forgiveness, the patience? Manson's brutal honesty cuts here. The quality of your life depends not on what pleasures you chase, but on what struggles you are willing to embrace. So ask yourself, what struggle feels worth it? What suffering feels meaningful, not meaningless? Because there's no such thing as a life without pain. The only choice is which pain you accept. The person who avoids all pain avoids all growth. The person who chooses their pain wisely grows into strength. Picture two people. Both want success. One only wants the rewards. The other accepts the grind, the sacrifice, the stress. Who do you think actually gets there? This is the hidden logic of life. Suffering is not the opposite of happiness, it is the foundation of it. Without struggle, you don't value the result. Without loss, you don't taste gratitude. Without limits, you don't feel purpose. Manson urges us to stop fantasizing about a perfect life where everything flows easily. Instead, imagine a meaningful life where the struggles are yours, chosen, embraced, respected. Ask yourself, do I suffer for things that actually matter to me, or for illusions that don't? Am I giving my energy to battles that align with my values, or am I bleeding out in fights that were never mine? The art of not giving a fuck is really this. Stop wasting energy on meaningless suffering and invest your energy in meaningful suffering. Stop trying to eliminate pain and learn to select the pain that builds you. So pause again. Take inventory of your daily frustrations. Which ones are signs of growth? Which ones are just empty distractions? When you see the difference, you start to reclaim your freedom. Because freedom is not comfort, it is clarity. And clarity means knowing what is worth hurting for. We often believe we want freedom. Freedom to do whatever we want. Freedom to say yes or no. Freedom to live without limits. But Mark Manson argues most of us misunderstand freedom. Real freedom is not the absence of rules. It is the acceptance of responsibility. Think of it this way. A person who runs from every commitment, who avoids promises, who rejects discipline, he thinks he's free. But in truth, he becomes a slave to impulses, a prisoner of mood, a captive of fear. True freedom comes when you bind yourself to values. When you say, I will live honestly. When you say, I will take care of my health. When you say, I will be loyal in love and consistent in work. Those commitments limit you on the surface. But deep inside, they set you free. Because freedom without direction is just chaos. And chaos never makes you stronger. Manson insists, responsibility is not the end of freedom, it is the path to it. You gain power not when you run from burdens, but when you carry them with clarity. Your choices become meaningful because you own them. Imagine two people. One refuses responsibility, blaming everyone. The other takes responsibility, even for pain he didn't cause. Years later, the first one is still stuck, bitter, fragile. The second has grown resilient, capable, grounded. The difference? Responsibility. The bridge between chaos and freedom. And here's the paradox. When you avoid responsibility, life chooses for you. When you embrace responsibility, you choose for yourself. Ask yourself, am I living like a passenger, letting the world drive me? Or am I holding the wheel, steering toward what matters? This is not easy. Owning your choices hurts. It demands sacrifice. It destroys the sweet comfort of excuses. But in that pain, there is strength. And in that strength, there is freedom. So remember this. Freedom is not doing everything you want. It is choosing what you want to suffer for. It is saying yes to the burdens that shape you. It is saying no to the distractions that waste you. True freedom is not escape. It is engagement. Not chaos, but clarity. And once you taste this kind of freedom, shallow comfort will never satisfy you again. Because you will know that every choice, every struggle, every sacrifice is part of building a life that is truly yours. There is a silent war inside each of us. A war between comfort and growth. Between safety and meaning. Between running from pain and choosing pain that makes us stronger. Mark Manson says it clearly. Growth never happens in the comfort zone. The comfort zone feels safe, but it slowly robs you of vitality. The growth zone feels scary, but it awakens your potential. Think about it. When was the last time you truly grew while staying comfortable? When was the last time a lazy day on the couch changed your life? Growth happens in sweat, in struggle, in conversations that scare you, in risks that stretch you. Manson reminds us discomfort is not the enemy. It is the doorway. Behind discomfort lies resilience, confidence, and transformation. So why do we resist it? Because our brains crave safety. We are wired to avoid danger. But in today's world, most of what feels dangerous is not life-threatening. It is ego-threatening, rejection, embarrassment, failure. And yet those very things are what carve us into who we are meant to be. Picture two people. One avoids discomfort at all costs, never risks, never speaks up, never tries new things. The other leans into discomfort, facing rejection, risking failure, daring to grow. Years later, the difference is enormous. One lives small, the other lives full. So here's the challenge Manson throws at us. Stop asking, how can I avoid discomfort? Start asking, what discomfort is worth it? Because not all pain is equal. The pain of discipline is better than the pain of regret. The pain of honesty is better than the pain of lies. The pain of effort is better than the pain of wasted years. This is the hidden art. Choosing discomfort consciously so that it becomes fuel instead of chains. And remember, the most meaningful lives are not the easiest. They are the most intentional. Not built on avoiding pain, but on aligning pain with purpose. So pause for a moment. Look at your daily choices. Are you choosing comfort that keeps you stuck? Or discomfort that pushes you toward the life you want? Because comfort may feel good now, but it keeps you small. Discomfort feels heavy now, but it makes you vast. And here's the truth Manson wants us to swallow. You can't escape suffering. But you can escape meaningless suffering by trading it for meaningful growth. At the end of the day, life doesn't ask you to be fearless. It asks you to be willing. Willing to lean into the storm. Willing to embrace the pain that shapes you. Willing to let discomfort forge you into someone unshakable. So ask yourself, am I living small for the sake of comfort? Or am I daring to grow by embracing the discomfort that expands me? My friends, here we are. At the end of a journey that was never meant to give you comfort, but clarity. A journey that stripped away illusions and replaced them with something real. From the start, Mark Manson told us the hard truth. Life is not free of problems. It is full of the right problems. The ones that make us stronger and more alive. We've walked through storms together. We've learned that control is an illusion, but choice is freedom. We've discovered that values are the compass and responsibility is the bridge. We've seen that happiness doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from embracing meaningful pain. Think back. How many times did you feel that spark of recognition? That moment when you realized, yes, this is me, this is my struggle, this is my truth? That's the power of this philosophy. It doesn't hide behind motivational fluff. It cuts into your life and demands action. So let's be honest. What values will you carry after this? What struggles will you accept as your own? What illusions will you drop so you can finally live with integrity? This art is not about rejecting life. It is about entering it fully. To stop chasing fake positivity. To stop wasting energy on shallow battles. Instead, it is about focus. Focus on what truly matters. Focus on the struggles that give you strength. Focus on the values that will keep you standing when storms come. And here is the challenge. Not tomorrow, but today. Choose one thing to let go of, something shallow. Choose one thing to embrace, something hard but meaningful. Because life is short. And your attention is the most precious currency you own. Don't waste it on everything. Spend it on what builds you. So let me ask you one last time. What is worth your energy? What is worth your sacrifice? What is worth your life? That is the essence of the subtle art of not giving a feck. Before we close, remember, if you haven't watched the first video yet, the link is in the description. Watch it to complete the whole journey. And if this message touched you, even in one small way, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell. Leave a like and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together we can build a community that isn't afraid of reality. A community that chooses courage over comfort, depth over distraction, and meaning over illusion. Thank you for staying until the end. Carry these ideas with you, not as theory but as practice. Because every day is a chance to live them. Stay strong, stay focused, and stay true to the values that matter. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a new way of seeing, choosing, and living.